Hey YouTube, this is Jaden Storm coming at you with part 2 of tips on how to beat Link Joker. Please keep in mind, just because you do everything I tell you in this video, or you take the tips I give you and do them to a T, it is not a personal guarantee that you'll beat Link Joker, but you'll find yourself in a much better place on how to beat them. So, at the end of part 1, I was just finishing up talking about the grade 2s, so you can go check that out. But I was talking about combinations of rear guards. If you ever see something like the 10K vanilla and this, kill this immediately. You do not want this on the field for when they break ride or use their limit break. And kill this. Now, if you see these two as the front row rear guards. Now, if you ever see this one and this one, I'd recommend this first, because he gets a lot bigger than this does, especially if this has one of these boosters. But chances are your opponent, if they're playing Link Joker correctly, they want this to be the rear guard booster for both of your rear guards. I mean the booster for both of your front row rear guards. This is what they want. So chances are there's going to be two of these, but you still would rather kill this over this, unless this is anything else. This can be anything else. But if this is face up, if this is on the field, guys, kill it first, then kill Radon. You don't want your opponent to establish a field. That is the best way to beat Link Joker, is you do not let them establish a field. Now, finally, we're going to talk about the grade 3s. Now, these are the grade 3s that you'll see in a Nebula deck. Obviously, you have your Break Ride, and which, if you remember from my video about quit whining about Link Joker, guys, this is the most crucial card that Link Joker players play. Because it gives them a free 10K boost and basically 2 locks for nothing, except basically a ride. Now, out of all the Break Rides that are out there that counterblast 1 in order to activate when you ride on top of them, this is one of those I can't believe that doesn't have a counterblast with it. Because it really is stupid, because when it is rode as the Vanguard, you get to lock a unit in your opponent's front and back row. So this card lets Link Joker basically get everything set up, and while it's your Vanguard, it will swing and be able to hit cross rides by itself. So, I mean, this card is literally everything. You'll even find at times, guys, that Link Joker players will sometimes even break ride 0 on top of 0 just to get some locks going. Because when their locks are going and they're keeping them consistent, it makes it harder and harder for the player to do it. This is where you can tell your bad Link Joker player from your good Link Joker player. If your opponent has probably like 12 cards in their hand, I would not recommend break riding into your boss monster and trying to end the game at that point. I would rather break ride into this, lock say 2 units, killing off one of their front row rear guard that I didn't lock, and then focusing 2 big attacks at my opponent's Vanguard. So that way they have to guard against those 2 attacks. And then next turn, at most, they're going to get 2 attacks off at most. And then, if I can, and they're down to, like, say, 6 cards, then you can go into your ultimate skill and trying to end the game. Now, let's say you have... your opponent has something that looks like this. I hope you can see this, guys, because I really don't. I'm having to use my laptop to do this, and I'm not exactly the best at this. Let's say your opponent's field is something like this. Okay? Hopefully you can see all this. Okay. Let's say your opponent's field is something like this, alright? Checking my time. Alright, we're good. And, okay, let's say this is your opponent's field, and then when they start their turn, they break right into Nebula. Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to get to lock a unit in your front and back rows. Now, if you're a Link Joker player, you can tell a good one from a bad one. If they do this, that's really not doing you anything. That's really not hurting you that much. So if your opponent just shuts down 1 row on you, they're actually they're not doing the right thing. What you should do is something more like this. If they do this to you, then you know you have a player that knows how to use the deck, because what you're doing is you're preventing one attack completely from being boosted, and you're shutting down another one. See, by doing this, guys, you're basically giving them still one full attack, but by doing this, you're completely shutting down one attack column. So depending on what your opponent does, if they do this to you, I'd say you have a better chance of winning, because Link Joker players that play and do this, they're showing their amateur skills with the deck, and I don't mean that as an insult. That's just a fact, because doing this really doesn't hurt your opponent that much. Doing this, however, is because it's shutting down one row. It's shutting down 2 rows necessarily, because this by itself is not as scary when it has that. So, let's say your opponent has broke road into Nebula, and they have locked 2 of your units, and then let's say you have anywhere from 5 to 6 cards in your hand. 9 times out of 10, if you have that many cards in your hand, your opponent is going to go for the ultimate push. And that is where they're going to have your entire field, if possible, and they think they can end the game just by brute force attack. They're going to have your field looking like that. And if they don't finish you, then they know that they can finish you the next turn, because they're pretty much going to get 2 free turns, and the only thing that might be in their way is 2 more interceptors at best. But most Link Joker players, they will not go for this ultimate push like this until A, they either know they have you, or 2, they're an amateur player and they just want to use the lock ability for the sake of using the lock ability. But let's say you're at 3 damage and I've just broke road and I'm at 5 damage. My best bet in this situation is I would just use his ability and lock 2 units and then go to my next turn. But okay, let's say it's my next turn and I have not break righted Nebula. He's just my Vanguard and I've started my turn. Well, what I would probably do is then use Nebula's skill to lock 1 unit in the back row. So I'd probably do this, something like that. And then I would use his ability to lock something like this. This is probably then what you're going to see. And then they're either going to call a Vanguard booster for their Vanguard, and they're either going to use another Lanthanum, or they're going to use this thing, which is the Persona booster for Nebula Lord. So let's say, just for argument's sake, they do this. And this is just a mirror image of your field, except they'd be different. By doing this, now they have had to use at least 3 of their Counterblast guys. Well, you only have 5 damage to Counterblast, because once you get that 6 damage, you win the game. So if you can survive basically a break ride where they're just going to lock 2 units, then the following turn, when they're going to lock 2 with Nebula, you pretty much have them. Because I'm sorry, if all your opponent does is lock 1 unit, I really don't, that's not going to damage you that much. Even if it is one of your rear guards, which there is no boss in Link Joker that can lock front row units right now. There's not one, except Schwartz. But the only way he can do it is if he has a copy of himself in his hand. And I'm sorry, I just don't find this ride chain consistent. That is just me. But between Nebula, the break ride, but between Nebula, Dark Band Dragon, and the Break Ride, they don't have an ability without being Broke Road, in the case for this card, that can lock front row units, because all he can do is lock back row units, the same as Dark Band Dragon, the promo for Link Joker. These 2 units can only lock units in the front row. The only card they have access to that can lock any unit is this card. So if you can survive the turn where, say, they break ride into Nebula and then use Nebula's skill to lock 2 units again, chances are you have them, guys. Link Joker is really not as scary as people make it out to be. Now, because at this point, if they've done everything that I've said, chances are their damage is going to look something like... hang on, guys, I'm having to do this backwards. Chances are their damage is going to look something like this. Well, that's 4 damage. And even if they take a 5th damage, guys, with Nebula's skill at best, they're only going to be able to lock 1 more unit. And if you remember in that video where I said quit whining about Link Joker, if you can get them to turn over all their damage, pretty much you're turning him into a vanilla monster, because his abilities can only be activated as long as you can use locked units. This is how you can tell a good Link Joker player from a bad Link Joker player, because sometimes break riding into him is not your best option, because once you go to him, there's no way that you can get back to him unless you literally waste a turn and do it all over again, which chances are your opponent is going to probably beat you if you do that. You can tell a good Link Joker from a bad one when they will break ride into a copy of their break ride just to get some locks going for no cost so they can preserve their counterblast for when they're planning to end the game with this thing. I want to steal a line from something that I heard from a Yu-Gi-Oh episode. I know Yu-Gi-Oh! Ooh. But it was by, I can't remember who said it, but it was in the GX episode, and there's a huge difference between knowing how to use a card and knowing how to play it, are 2 totally different things. Just using this card, it doesn't matter if you don't know how to play it. If you play this card very well, and Link Joker in general, Link Joker is a very scary deck in the hands of a good player. But, you know, if all you do, if the only reason you play Link Joker is because you're intrigued by the lock, I really don't see you doing much with the deck. And I don't mean that cruel, because Link Joker is a very good deck, guys. I'm not going to lie. Link Joker, when used properly, guys, this deck is a lot of fun to play, and it is very, very hard to deal with. If you're facing a Link Joker player that knows what they're doing, it is a little bit harder to play, but that does not mean by any stretch that it is impossible to beat, guys. So the best thing I can tell you to do, guys, is when you are playing Link Joker, play conservatively. Remember the tricks with the grade 2s and the grade 1s that I taught you. Anyway, guys, I hope this helped. These are the best tips I can give you. If you can think of another way I could help you, I'd be more than willing to do it. This is the best way that I could figure out how to do it. Thanks for giving me 5 thumbs up on that video, guys. When I tell you guys I want feedback, I'm not doing it because I want to be cocky and have a big head. I want it because I want to know that I want to know that you guys are actually liking the videos that I make. If there's a video you guys want to see, I don't care what it is. Don't be shy to tell me, hey Jaden, would you mind doing a video for basic setup for certain decks? Or something. I'm going to make a video to explain myself, what I mean by that. And then if you guys like it, I can show you basic setup with some other decks. But this has just been a little informative video to kind of help you guys with Link Joker. I hope you guys, I hope it helped some of you. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you guys did like this video, thumbs up it for me. And in the comment section below, tell me what you thought. If you did like it, please tell me. And I want to say thank you really quick to each and every one of my 108 subscribers I think I'm up to now. It really means a lot that my channel is doing very well. I really like doing these things for you guys. So if you ever do want a certain video, please let me know. And I guess lastly, if there is anything else that you would like me to go over with Link Joker, I'd be happy to do so. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up, and I will see y'all later.